So in this, if we use, this is using fx and gx and find out f minus gx. So first of all, f minus gx is fx minus gx, right? So we can plug in the value of the fx. So f, what is fx? 5x. So I write 5x minus gx. Gx is what? See, in the positive, when we add them, there is no need to put the parentheses. When you add them, there is no like when there is a negative sign, the sign changes. And negative sign outside the parentheses, sign changes of the all the terms inside the parentheses. But it's not in addition. So addition, we did put parentheses over there. But for the negative, but for the minus, you have to put the parentheses for the next function. So I write fx and then I put the negative sign because there is a subtraction, correct? So and then we plug in the value of gx, which is 2x minus 10. First function fx, second function gs, subtraction, so fx minus parenthesis 2x minus 10. Because see, now the sign changes, no? Because negative multiply with positive 2x give you negative 2x, and negative multiply with negative 10 give you positive 10. And then 5x minus 2x give you 3x plus 10. 3x plus 10. So this is the new function f minus gx, correct? And then you can find out the domain. I just told you in the previous, when we solved the questions from 1, 2, 3, 4, like the domain of the linear function is minus infinity to infinity. So domain is minus infinity to infinity. 6 is you can try by yourself, not so difficult. And let's do the 7th one because there is a x in the denominator. So okay, so 7th one, when we solve, f minus gx gives you 4 minus 1 over x minus 7 plus 1 over x. That gives you 4 minus 1 over x minus 7 minus 1 over x. So 4 minus 7 is minus 3. Minus 1 over x minus 1 over x gives you minus 2 over x. Right? You understand this thing? So if you didn't put the parentheses, that will give you different answer, which is not correct. Right? So this gives you 3 minus 2x. So this is the new function after the applying the operation. Now the question is, what is the domain of this function? As I told you before also, if there is a 0 in the denominator, that make the function not defined. So the denominator never be 0. The denominator never be 0. Or you can say that the value which make the denominator 0, the value of x actually for the domain, the value of x which make the denominator 0, except that value, everything else is your domain in a easy language. So x is in the denominator, correct? So x never be 0, because if x is 0, that makes the function not defined. So except that value, everything else is the domain of the function, right? So 0 is the restriction, or you that 0 never be, x is never be 0. So you can say that for the domain, right, x belongs to all real numbers and x never be equal to 0, correct? So your answer is minus infinity to 0 union 0 to infinity. Get it? 0 to infinity. Right? In this you can see, when I put this thing, how to read this thing? When we put this bracket, like this bracket, that means the value inside it is not included. The values between them or after that can be, but the value is not included. So 0 is not included. If I put this bracket, that means that value is included. So this is not included bracket, and this bracket, the square bracket, is included, means this bracket shows not included, this bracket shows included. Okay, And for the eighth one also, you can do the operation. Operation is not so difficult, you can just subtract them. The point is, like, if I write f minus g, you can use a different color so it's not difficult for you to recognize. So f minus g x is x over 2 minus square root of x minus 3. Correct? So the operation is not suitable. The question is about domain. I just told you the no negative term inside the square root. Because if there is a negative term inside the square root, that doesn't give you a real answer. So the function is not defined at that point. So the value in the denominator, the value inside the square root never be zero, never be negative. It can be zero, it can be positive, but never be negative. So this value should be positive. This value should be positive. So x minus 3, what is the meaning by positive? Positive means x minus 3 should be greater than equal to 0. As I told you, it can be 0 inside the square root, it can be positive. Positive or 0 give you a real answer, but negative give you a not defined. So except that value, everything else is a domain. So x minus 3, because that's the term inside the square root, it should be greater than equal to 0. So x should be greater than equal to 3. So what is the domain? X can be anything but greater than equal to 3. So greater than 3 and 3 is also included. So the domain of the function for this is, how to write? You can put a square bracket because 3 is included. You can write 3 and infinity and then put a small bracket. So when you put a square bracket, this shows that 3 is included. 3 is also the domain, right? So 3 and all the values greater than 3 is the domain of the function.